Hello friends, welcome to our channel Knowledge Amplifier. So today in this particular video, we are going to explore another very important feature in Snowflake which can help us in improving overall data governance in our cloud warehouse platform. Okay, so nowadays protecting personal data is a very important aspect in data governance lifecycle, and different countries or continents follow different set of rules and regulations. For example, if you consider European Union, then GDPR or General Data Protection Regulation is a very important factor for protecting personal data. It is an internationally recognized compliance standard that was created to safeguard an individual's right to privacy, particularly with respect to personal data, and it is associated with the processing of personal data within European Union countries. That means if your company is from European Union, or maybe it is having some branches in European Union countries, and you want to store and process personal data, maybe that is for company's internal members or maybe external customer, then obviously GDPR or General Data Protection Regulation has to be followed. It is not like personal data can be accessed by any members very easily. Proper data governance has to be implemented. And in this kind of data governance process, there is a very interesting feature of Snowflake apart from general column masking or row masking, and that is aggregation policies, which can surely help us. And in this video, we are going to explore that in detail. So what is aggregation policy in short? Let me tell you. That is, suppose you are having a table where maybe employee ID and then some details about that employee is stored. That can be employee's salary or employee's age, etc., etc. And now if suppose there is no regulations applied, what you can do, you can simply apply select star from this table where employee ID equal to and a particular employee ID you can put to get all the personal data related to a specific employee. So that might violate the GDPR policy. So in Snowflake, we can apply aggregation policies where it is not like on an individual employee ID level we can extract the data. Only the aggregated data we can extract out of this table. We can obviously configure that what is the number of rows on which minimum aggregation has to happen, and that aggregated data we can maybe use for our business improvement or any data analytics workload related purpose. Okay, so that way once we apply aggregation, then employees individual personal data cannot be tracked. It is an aggregated data, overall data. From that data you can never detect that this information is belonging to a specific employee. No single employee uniquely identifiable by that aggregated data, right? So I hope you are getting the overall sense of this application of aggregation policy, that instead of allowing any user to access individual employee specific data, user should only able to access aggregated data. In those kind of cases, you can take help of aggregation policy on top of existing table. So let me show you that with an example or practical application. It will be much more clear to you. So to show you this demo, first what I am doing, I am using sysadmin role. I am creating a fresh database DemoDB and I am using this database. And then here I am creating a table, and what this particular table contain, it basically have the information about how much progress a particular employee has done for a specific course. So whenever we generally join a new company, or maybe in the middle also, often HR team or regulation team share various courses to be completed, and sometimes they are mandatory courses, right? So maybe in Workday platform or in companies various platform, we try to complete those courses. Now if an employee start any course, how much percentage of the course the employee has completed, which course the employee has started, related to that suppose the information is available. So that particular table is having the columns like employee ID, employee name, department, course ID, course name, completion percentage, last updated, etc. Okay, right? And now here what we are doing, we are inserting some dummy data in it, and now here I can execute select star from this table. Here you can see the data, employee ID, employee name, department, course ID, course name, AWS Glue related course, Power BI related courses are there. And for example, employee with ID 001 has completed 100% of this course. This employee ID with 2 has completed 75% on this date. Like that way data is available. Okay, and maybe higher management team want to know that in different department what is the overall percentage of completion of a specific course. they might not be interested in specific employee level, but on an aggregated level they want to get idea that overall department wise how much progress is happening. So in that kind of cases, we should not directly give access to this complete table to data analyst team. Rather, we should be putting some constraint that they should only able to access the data if they apply some aggregation on department level, etc. So that way individual employee level data cannot be tracked and GDPR policy or regulation can be followed, right? That is the ultimate goal of this particular lab. Okay, so as of now, because we have not applied any regulation, we can directly query for a specific employee for a specific course how much progress happened. That one here we can easily query and see it, right? Like for example, Power BI course is completed by the employee 05 80%, and now this can be a personal data. So it is not like we can directly keep this kind of data and allow data analyst team to query without any regulation. So now we will inspect that. So before that, here I have written one more aggregation query, and this query is basically going to return that in department level for a specific course how much progress happened, right? So department, course ID, course name, on top of that I am doing group by, and then I am taking average of completion percentage up to 2 decimal places, that is average completion percentage, and how many employees have started the course related to that. So this one is an aggregated data, and this is maybe what our higher level management team is only looking for. They are not interested in specific employee level, but on a department level overall progress they are looking for, like this, right? So we need to implement a mechanism that only this kind of aggregated data should be visible, not individual employee level data. So for that, what we will do, we will switch to account admin, and here comes the aggregation policy what we can apply on table. So the syntax is kind of same like when we apply row masking policy or column masking policy, that is create or replace aggregation policy and some name you can give as return aggregation constraint. So this syntax is completely taken from the documentation. You can scroll below, and here you will able to see that the syntax create or replace aggregation policy, then policy name, return aggregation constraint, and in body part you can write the logic that if it is account admin role, then maybe they can directly see the data, but if it is any other role, then aggregation has to happen, not directly query, like that, and then comment you can put. So that same syntax I have taken here, that if the current role is account admin, then no aggregation constant. Account admin team should able to see individual data, not a problem, but for any other role we have to apply aggregation, and then only select query should return the result, otherwise select query should fail. And here we need to mention that what is the minimum grouping size of aggregation. So here I am saying minimum grouping size should be 2. So that way user always need to execute such query where at least 2 rows should be grouped, then only it will return the result, otherwise it will fail. As simple as that. Okay, so here I will create this aggregation policy, and once it is created, I can apply this specific policy on top of our employee course progress table, what just now we created on the top. Okay, so here using alter command I can basically apply that aggregation constraint on top of our table. And now maybe for example I can execute select star from this table where employee ID equal to this and course ID equal to this. So this is not aggregated query, this is basically for a specific employee we are querying, but still we will able to see the result. Why? Because currently we are in account admin role, and here we have written that if current role is account admin, then no aggregation constant, right? So that's why we are able to see the data. And not only individual employee query, but obviously we can able to execute any aggregated query as well, right? Because it is account admin role, no restriction will be there. So on top of department, course ID and course name, I am doing a group by, and here I am applying list aggregate function. So here in a way, although we have applied aggregation, but here you can clearly see that we are able to detect individual employee level information, because list aggregate just return the employee IDs with comma separated value. So that means we can say employee ID 4 has started Power BI reporting course, and then his name is David and he has completed 20% of it. So this is one example where in this query, although we have applied aggregation, but still individual personal data is understandable from the outcome. So we will observe later that whether aggregation constant able to stop execution of this kind of query or not as well. because this is also a violation of GDPR policy, because here we are able to track employees' personal data, right? Now it's time to test our aggregation constraint. We'll switch to sysadmin role, and then we will try to access for a specific employee the information without any aggregation, right? And here you will see that beautifully it is returning aggregation policy violation. Because we are trying to access information related to a specific employee, that's why the job is failing and GDPR compliance is followed. Because the current role is sysadmin, not account admin, that's why based on our aggregation policy, at least in our select query, we should be having a group by for 2 rows, then only it will able to return. But here, if you see the query, here this one is just direct query we are not doing any group by. That's why it is failing, right? Now, obviously, you can apply this kind of aggregation on top of department, course ID, course name, and take the average of completion percentage and total number of employees, because here we are doing some grouping, and here you can observe that this is not going to have any employees personal data, kind of aggregated data only will be getting. That's why here we are able to see the data properly, right? Total employees 2, total employees 3. So this is indicating that for Power BI reporting course, if you see that here these 2 rows are aggregated, and for AWS Glue Basics these 3 rows are aggregated, and it is giving this particular row as output, right? So because of application of aggregation, we are able to see the data. And also one more point is important here, that aggregation we are doing, that is fine, but one more restriction is aggregation is happening at least for 2 rows. Okay, that's why we are getting the data, because Power BI has 2 rows and AWS Glue has also 3 rows, that means greater than 2. That's why this aggregation is returning output. Suppose we are having such row where after applying aggregation also we are having only 1 row, then this would not have returned any result. That also I'll be showing you later. But before that, I want to show you that list aggregate if we execute. Earlier we observed that using list aggregate, although we are applying aggregation, but still we are able to track the original personal data. But now with sysadmin role, if we execute this code, here you will see that list aggregate violates aggregation policy. So the Snowflake aggregation restriction or aggregation policy is intelligent enough that it understands using list aggregate we can bypass the aggregation policy and somehow we can get the employee's personal data. So it stopped that thing also. Now what I will do, I will add 1 row here, insert into this particular table, and then values, and then maybe here I can add 8, and here I can give the name Soham, and here analytics, that is fine. And maybe here I can give a new course W, and the course number I can give something different, and here I can give visualization. Okay, so only one particular row I am adding in this table to show you one edge case, and this particular course is completely different Tableau. So Tableau related only one course is available belonging to this visualization department. And now if I generally apply with the role account admin, if we just query the list aggregate, we'll able to see this data, right, as usual. And here Soham and this employee ID is coming. Now we'll switch to sysadmin, and then if we try to execute this particular aggregation logic which earlier got executed, let's see the beauty here. For that Tableau course and department visualization, there was only 1 row available, right? But here in the aggregation constant, what logic we have applied, that for minimum 2 rows the aggregation should happen, then only it should return the data. But here, because this Tableau guy is alone, so for this specific segment, aggregation is not happening at least for 2 rows, right? Based on our aggregation column like course ID, course name, and the department. That's why here we are getting null data. That is the beauty of applying aggregation constraint. So there is no way that we can bypass the aggregation constraint. Only the team need to execute some sort of aggregation, and that aggregation should at least happen for 2 rows. You can always configure 2 rows, 10 rows, 100 rows in this aggregation concept, that minimum group size, and that many rows, if it get aggregated based on our SQL select query, then only result will be coming in the output, otherwise not. So this is a very vital factor, especially to maintain the GDPR regulations, and that's what I thought to cover with you from data governance point of view. The complete code I'll be providing in the description box. Try to play with it, go through the documentation and explore it. You will be understanding these concepts in a better way. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share and comment. Subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed till now, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification of our latest videos. Thank you for watching.